Cool.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday stream. I am your host, Hammer, and my co-hosts, of course, are Jen.
Hello.
And Terry.
Hello.
How you doing, Jen?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
I cannot complain. Terry, how about you?
I'm doing well.
We were talking quickly before the stream started. We have a couple of things we have to talk about tonight. Some interesting things going on with our postal service. A Facebook post that went viral that turned out to be untrue. A young 35-year-old woman wanting to blame COVID for her life experience, and finally a new way to, well, I don't know if I should be able to say this or not, but the coof could be more viral than you think. So everyone go out and get their shots as soon as possible. We were talking before the stream about cheeses for a short period of time, because Jen has some expertise with cheeses, but I think I mentioned that I like cheese, but I can't have any soft cheese. And what is if you were limited to one cheese going forward? I mean, I would basically have to only be able to eat provolone. That would be it, because it's a hard cheese.
I would go for an Asiago because I find it's got.
Isn't that kind of close? Isn't that kind of the same thing?
Asiago is a hard cheese. It's kind of related to a parm, but I find it's got a little bit more of a salty flavor to it. So I find that if you're doing something with a sauce, or you're wanting to add salt to something without actually directly adding salt, I really liked that one. Especially like Caesar salads usually have a parm. I used to replace mine with Asiago just because I felt it added a little bit more flavor to it. And, I do a more traditional style, Caesar salad, because my dad liked the original one. So if you don't know, the original Caesar salad doesn't have cream in it. It's egg whites.
Really?
You beat the egg whites until they become white and foamy. That's what makes it creamy.
That's racist.
I know, right?
I didn't get your idea, Terry, about your favorite. Do you have a favorite?
Favorite cheese?
Yeah, because I mean, you like pizza as well as anybody, so I guess mozzarella's on the table, right?
Well, I was actually going to say it's basically a question of, would I rather keep eating pizza or keep eating pasta? Because it is either going to be mozzarella for pizza or Parmesan cheese for pasta.
Parmesan. Three of us like three different things. Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Well, I like all cheeses. Like, make no mistake, except for blues. I would say the closest thing to a blue that I've been able to tolerate is it's a kind of blue called a Gorgonzola. It's a kind of Gorgonzola. And the reason it's called Gorgonzola is because they consider it boring. There's not a lot of blue in it. Like, if you look at a standard blue cheese, you see the blue stuff all throughout it. A Gorgonzola will have a little bit on the crust, a little bit in the middle, a little bit on the bottom.
As long as cheeses aren't like there are some cheeses that are like, aren't they like expired cheeses?
That's what a blue cheese is. It's a kind of bacteria. It's actually as gross as it is, it's actually good for you.
That's okay.
It's actually
I
good
don't want
for
to
you.
eat bacteria. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know.
Sorry.
But that's how cheese works. It's like you know how when they serve you the cheese platter with the fruit and the cheese, there's actually a purpose to that. It's supposed to cultivate proper bacteria in your stomach, so that when you're digesting
cheese ever again.
Listen. There's a quote from this little old French lady that I remember from one of the programs, and this guy was making this comment about how cheeses the cheeses in her shop are so smelly, and she's like, no. Cheese is supposed to smell like God's feet. If it doesn't smell like God's feet, it's a boring cheese. It's not a good cheese.
What were you going to say, Terry?
Bacteria is not a bad thing. Like some bacteria make you sick, but you need bacteria in your body. Otherwise,
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I take a
body
probiotic every
doesn't
day to
work.
make sure that I have the appropriate gut bacteria, but I can't
But
imagine
it
just
resembles
chewing
a
on it.
yogurt. Usually resembles a yogurt. Usually.
I found this stuff. See, I have so many problems with my digestive system that I'm required by my doctor to take a probiotic. There's this company called Naturello that makes a probiotic with 50 billion CFU. And it has one designed specifically for the problem I have with my stomach. So I had to buy it. Now, most of my medications I get are pretty inexpensive because I have good insurance. But because this is over the counter, it's not prescribed. So I have to pay full price for it. So it's $58 for a bottle.
Jesus.
You know, I could see that, because the thing with a lot of foods that have that bacteria is they have other things too. Like cheese is a protein, and the thing with protein is certain proteins do fuck up your stomach as you get older. Like my dad's older than you, obviously, but as he's gotten older, all that stuff is just kind of built up in his stomach, and he can't tolerate it anymore. Like it's like he can't eat noodles, he can't eat anything from the foxglove family, which includes peppers, tomatoes, because it inflames his joints, his stomach, everything. Yeah, I sympathize with you. It was the day that my dad couldn't have kimchi anymore that I cried, because it was my one present that I knew I could get him that made him smile.
All right. Let's go ahead and get on to some of the news. We'll start with the postal workers. The government was requiring federal employees to honor a mask mandate, requiring they must wear masks, no choice. But the postal union doesn't seem to want to agree. So they came up with this. I'm not sure if that's the right size. So I can resize it for people so it shows up properly.
Can I be honest here? It's not that I disagree with them or that I don't understand their sorrow, but depending on where you work in the postal, I'd want to wear a mask anyway, because people are fucked up.
Well, I have a whole thing about masks, but let me go ahead and read this real quick for the audience. Various media outlets have reported that the White House is considering mandatory COVID-19 vaccination as a condition of employment for federal employees. Maintaining the health and safety of our members is of paramount importance, while the APWU leadership continues to encourage postal workers to voluntarily get vaccinated. It is not the role of federal government to mandate vaccinations for the employees we represent. Issues related to vaccinations and testing for COVID-19 in the workplace must be negotiated with the APWU. At this time, the APWU opposes the mandating of COVID-19 vaccinations in relation to U.S. postal workers. So, treason. If the government says you got to do it, you got to do it. I mean, they're dealing with what the CDC says, and if you're a federal worker, I don't care if you're a part of the postal union or not, you got to get your vaccinations in there. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's a little extreme, but I kind of understand where they're coming from, because unfortunately you're touching everything.
Right.
But my understanding on the science is that shit doesn't last on objects for like longer than 48 hours. So.
I don't know how long it takes.
And that number changed all the time. Like it was like every other month it changed. So.
Yeah, no. Have they really come out and said how long it sits on a surface? Maybe it depends on the surface.
Yeah, I think it depended on the surface. Like my understanding is like metal surfaces, it lasted longer than like stone. Like if when they were testing like places where people might have been sitting on like a stone seat or something. But I don't like it changed all the time. Like that's the problem. I didn't have any faith in what they were saying, because like the next couple of weeks they would change it and say, well, it lasts for 8 hours, and then they'd say, well, it's there for 48 hours, and they'd say similar things about people's pets. Not that the pet would get it, but if you were petting their pets, that it could pass on to another person, because they said if it was on organic, it lasted longer. And I was just like, I feel like they were making shit up all the time because they didn't know. Speculation instead of like. So I don't really know, but I don't think that anything being shipped overseas is shipped over. Like it would take longer than that. Like the only people who would really be concerned about that would be the first responders, like the first people receiving the package. I don't know. To be honest, when it came to packages and that kind of stuff, like depending on what department you were in, I thought you had to wear things like masks because people are fucked up. Like the amount of times that people have sent like deadly shit through the mail post is just. So I thought they kind of did, like depending on what department you're in. Like if you're checking packages for stuff like that, like I can't remember what it's called, that poison. It's like a seed, like if you touch it or something.
So isn't it like white powder? Is that what you're talking about?
I know they were sending anthrax through the mail for a while.
That's what it is. Yeah, because the anthrax. Yeah, because anthrax comes from like a kind of bean, like it looks like a bean. And like they had cases where like they just send the seeds. They don't even have to powder it. You just send the seed, and the seed on its own is enough to kill a person.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
so,
I'm interested to see what happens because I guess this is just the union talking. APWU is just the union. So, the government's going to bust the union. I don't know what's going to happen with that.
That's so weird because like these are the people that were wanting that kind of. Well, no, I wouldn't say that about the postal workers, but the union people were the ones who wanted this kind of shit. So I don't know.
Well, that's the latest as far as the postal workers are concerned. I'm not sure if that's going to go to like school teachers or police officers or judges. I mean, they're all public employees, so I don't think everybody is represented by a union, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
So, have you guys seen that post from a doctor, a supposed doctor, about denying patients the COVID vaccine at the point where they're dying and going on a respirator because it was too late for them? Have you seen that post?
Yes, I have.
I have not. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's well, the great thing is it's not true.
Of course it's not true.
The alleged doctor, Brittany Kobia, says that she holds their hands and tells them, "I'm sorry, it's too late," before intubating them before they go into a coma and die from the coof.
What a vindictive thing to post online.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was just her point. I mean, first of all, she doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The hospital that she references has a doctor whose last name is Kobia, but it's a guy. And there's a picture of her in the original Facebook article, but on her smock it says she's not a doctor. It says I just had hospitalist. It says on her smock. Well, a hospitalist. I've had a hospitalist. I've been in the hospital many times. I've had a hospitalist. They're basically a nurse with a lot of time in the position. They're usually an RN who has been an RN for X amount of time, and when they're in a hospital, they can apply for a job as a hospitalist. But it's not a doctor. Not that I'm aware of. Every hospitalist I've ever had has been a nurse.
But the thing that tipped it off is that she said that she was saying this to 20 and 30-year-old, otherwise healthy people. Like, no, you weren't. That's not who's dying of COVID.
Yeah. Well, I have the article here. I'm bringing it up on the screen. And, of course, it's not centered. Doctor pushes manipulative story to mock vaccination people and guilt public into vaccinating.
That's the point, yep.
Closer inspection of the Grandview Medical Center in Birmingham tells a much different story. Brittany Kobia completely fabricated her story, and her name doesn't even appear in the hospital's directory. In fact, the hospital has not admitted a single pediatric patient for COVID-19 since their data was made available a year ago. She made it all up. And she doesn't even exist at this hospital. So I'm not even sure she exists as a person.
I don't think she does, because no one should spell Brittany that way.
It is an unusual spelling. What was it? YTNEY? Brightney?
Yes, that is that is the incorrect spelling.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just this. Maybe it's just the document that I'm looking at. Um, but yeah, so I mean, it was just, and this is why people don't understand that you have to get vaccinated if you can. I worry about the people who can't get vaccinated because it's a medical condition where they can't be. But if you can be vaccinated, really was it hurting? You're not getting any metal chips. All that stuff is misinformation.
Hmm.
So there was a YouTube. I should have pulled it aside just for this. There was a YouTube or not a TikTok of a gentleman who explained all the mysteries of the vaccination, why it went through so quickly, how it was tested, what exactly is in it. He went through all of it, beginning to end in a TikTok video, and I don't remember if it was. I don't remember exactly who retweeted it. I don't want to say and be wrong. I think it was Cynical Lindsay. I could be wrong, but she said it was the best description of what's going on with the vaccination that she's ever seen. It was from somebody who is not a doctor.
Yeah.
But they had just done all the research to prove that all of the things that people have been like, oh, I don't want to get it because of this, or I don't want to get it because of that, and how it's all wrong. Now, I'm willing to say on air right now, I have not been vaccinated. It is on my list of things to do, but I'm very well protected from humans. I don't have to interact in real life with humans if I don't want to. The only people I really interact with are my girlfriend every day and my wife. My girlfriend has been vaccinated. So my girlfriend and my mom, not my wife. My girlfriend and my mom. My girlfriend's been vaccinated. My mom isn't, but she's elderly. And at this point, I'm a little scared about getting her vaccinated because I know that that people feel run down, and I don't want to take a chance with her health the way it is. So at some point, she may still get vaccinated, but I have not yet been, although I'm not against getting vaccinated. It's just a matter of doing it.
One of the things that was pointed out to me with these people, these hyperactive, go get your shots people, is you point out things like, so if we were still under the Trump administration and you were in that loosey-goosey thing that you were in last year where everything he did was evil, would you still be so keen on these shots?
Well, we know that they wouldn't be because we've got like people like Kamala Harris saying, if Trump says we should take this vaccine, I'm not taking it.
Mm-hmm.
She did say that.
So it's one of those things where like they're all about the responsibility stuff when it's on their side, but they don't really believe in the science when it comes from anybody else. That's where I hesitate with them. Like, do they really believe that these shots are good for people or not?
Yeah.
I got one for myself because, yes, I do interact with my parents. They're both elderly. I didn't want a chance passing it on to them. But also, I'm aware of the fact that I'm the type of person who, I can't catch everything. There was a possibility I could catch it, and I don't want to fuck up my lungs any more than they are.
Yeah.
Those are valid reasons to get it.
Absolutely.
See, I'm not getting it just because I'm not scared of COVID and I'm isolated enough that I'm
like me, you're
not
isolated.
likely. Yeah, I'm not likely to pass it on to anyone if I do get it.
Yeah.
If I was still working, it'd be different because I'd be on public transport every day and I could be passing it on to God knows how many people. But my life as it is, the most human interaction I get is someone knocking, pushing the buzzer to let me know that there's food for me to come get.
And I mean that's fine. You're also not in the age group where you really need to be that afraid of it.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not afraid of getting it, and I'm not afraid of passing it on because I don't have any human interaction. Like if I was visiting my parents, my mum, my dad's dead. If I visited my mum, like she's 60, I could see a case for me getting vaccinated if I was going to be in regular contact with my mother. I'm not. She lives in a different state. The only people I ever see are delivery people, and most of the time they're just like, hey, there's something downstairs, come get it.
Mm-hmm.
My mom lives a couple miles away, so I drive back and forth to her house. But I have my groceries delivered. I have fast food delivered. I don't go out. The only time I ever really leave my house on my own to do something of my own is to go to see a doctor. So, I don't think I'm going to catch it from a doctor. I mean, those places are so sterile, it's crazy. At least
Yeah.
here in the States. I don't know about Canada and Australia, but if you go anywhere near a hospital here, they won't let you even get like in the parking lot without having a mask on. So,
Yeah, no. I think if someone wants the vaccine, get the vaccine.
Mhm.
If you don't want the vaccine, I don't think you should be forced.
at
Especially
gunpoint.
like not by the government. Like if a business says we will only hire vaccinated people, it's like all right, well that's their choice. They
Sure.
they can have that standard if they want. But I don't think the government should be forcing people to get vaccinated.
Well, because we
And
have stuff delivered to us, we're at a position where we don't really have to do it anyway because
Yeah,
neither one of us are going to lose our jobs because we don't have a job.
true.
So we're kind of immune to that whole, well, you better do it or you're going to get fired or you won't be able to get a job. Yeah. So for us,
No, but like I've got no problem with an employer saying we will only hire vaccinated people because their
their
business, their
choice.
rules.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. What were you going to say, Jen?
I lost track of what I was going to say.
Sorry.
Well, I will get it. I will get vaccinated at some point. I will do it because I am of the age. You said I
Yeah.
was younger than your dad, Jen. I'm 58. So I don't know how much younger than your dad I am, but
But by quite a lot. My dad's like 75, so
wow.
but he doesn't look his age. Like I give him credit for it all the time
Neither
because
do I. I'm handsome.
just yeah, my dad looks like he's in his 60s at best. He's just taking care of himself, so it's just
I have a lot of
he
comorbidities, especially the ones that they're talking about, like diabetes is a big one.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not fat. I'm actually pretty trim, especially for my height. I'm 6'3", 221 pounds as of this morning. So I'm pretty trim, but that's the only morbidity that I don't have. I have everything else. So it's important for me, or at least it seems like it. It's important for me to get it. I just haven't gone about doing it. What I want to make sure that I do is I get the vaccination that I want.
Mhm.
I do not want the Johnson and Johnson vaccination.
Fair enough.
I want
Um,
Moderna or what's the other one?
Pfizer.
Pfizer.
because what was going on in Australia is they made it so you weren't allowed to know which vaccine you were being given.
Really?
Um, yeah, it was illegal for them to tell you.
I wonder if that's
And
true here too.
it was only after the whole blood clots from AstraZeneca thing uh, that they realized that they couldn't maintain this condition. Like, okay, now if people don't want AstraZeneca, that's understandable. We have to let them know what they're
AstraZeneca
getting. But for
is
a
the
while,
UK, right?
Mhm.
Do
uh,
you get the UK stuff too, or are you just like America? You only get Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J?
no, our prime minister went big on the AstraZeneca, and I think a big part of the problem was he didn't want to admit that it was a bad decision.
No, of course. He's a politician. Why would he think he did anything wrong? How about you, Jen? Are you able to
I'm
get
fully
this
back.
AstraZeneca or?
We don't get them here. No, we got the Pfizer, we got the Moderna, and we got the JJ.
So you get the
And
same thing.
we always had the option of choosing which one we wanted. Like we would, like my mom set me up to as many lists as she could, because there were waiting lists to get it.
Mhm.
And we made sure that I got the Pfizer just because that one was the one with the least amount of poor reactions. And both my parents got it, so there was just kind of that,
Did you get it
like
through a doctor, or did you go to a pharmacy, or how did you get yours?
So the both times I got it were different. So the first one I went to a vaccine shot place. So
Mhm.
some buildings were rented out specifically for the masses, just because there's quite a few waiting lists for people and they just needed the space. So that was the first one I went to. That one is shut down now just because the volume that they needed is no longer necessary. So most people are going to just regular walk-in pharmacies. You just sign up online or you can walk in if they're not busy, and they're just like, yeah, which one do you want? And you take the one that you want. But the Pfizer was really difficult for people because there's only a select number of those ones. So most people were going for that or Moderna. Where it got sketchy, though, was the places where they were mixing and matching them. I get that you can do that. Like, my understanding is you can do that. I didn't like the idea of that.
Well, J&J is different than the other two. You can't mix
Yeah.
it with anything. But the Pfizer and Moderna are exactly, from what I understand, they're exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't like the idea of it. Like, I get that it's probably fine, but I was just like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit loosey-goosey as it is. I know that they're safe, but just for the sake of not messing with my head, I was just like, meh.
Well, my local medicine shop was originally doing it, and they were using Johnson & Johnson. And I was like, oh wait, and really when I called them up and said, what are you doing, they said, oh, we're doing Johnson & Johnson. I said, well, what's the wait time? And they said, well, we won't be able to get to you until 2 months from now. We're that far backlogged at this point that we can't take on new people. So, and when they said that, I was like, all right. And I just kind of put in the back of my head that I'll get it later when things calm down a bit. But now knowing that they're doing Johnson & Johnson, I think that I'm going to deal with, hold on a second. Now that I know Moderna and Pfizer are available through my hospital, that's probably where I'll go.
Yep, cynic. He's an at risk, but he can't. Well, I mean, that's the thing too. Like, that was kind of part of the reason I put it off up here, because we really only had a set amount of them, because our prime minister kept jacking himself off with them by giving them away. And so I was just like, I spent a little bit of time just waiting for everybody else who I thought was more needing of them to get them first. Like people who were working for 8 or 9 hours, who had to actually deal with the population. I felt that they should be given the option first, rather than somebody who doesn't have a job and is sitting at home most of the time. I just wanted the people who really should be getting it to get it first.
The old folks.
Yes, the vulnerable, the people who really kind of needed it. And I stand by that one too, because you could tell when people started to feel more secure about themselves when they were getting those shots, because the reaction from the crowd was different. But it didn't take that long for us to get them. They were readily available. And like I said, at best, I just wanted the information there. Like, I just wanted to know what they were doing and what options I had.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I just didn't want it to be about politics. Can you stop making it about politics?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those. Who started it? Well, that would be the Democrats.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm not going to take it if Trump did it. That's where it all started. I think.
Well, yeah, I've actually said to my mother that Trump is actually indirectly to blame, because if he had come out and said, this virus is the biggest, most dangerous, nastiest thing, we need panic stations right now, the Democrats and the media would be like, this is nothing. It's the flu. Who cares? And there would be no lockdowns, no mask mandates. They'd just be like, Trump's overreacting. Let's just ignore it.
And you're not wrong, because they did. They were all like, go to Chinatown, folks. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I love how you're automatically immune if you're part of if you're on the side of BLM and you're protesting, you're automatically immune to it.
Oh yeah.
Don't know how, but you are.
Oh, there was a video I saw on Twitter where after the day's hearings on the January 6th riot, I guess I'll call it a riot. I don't really believe it's an insurrection, but that at the end of the day, after all the testimony was done, all the Democrats surrounded the people who were there, and they were all talking to each other, and there was probably like 35 people there all talking to each other. Nobody's wearing masks.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're going to put a mask mandate out that all federal employees must wear masks. In the meantime, no one's wearing masks at the January 6th investigation, whatever. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're telling people to do one thing and you're doing something else. And we've seen this how many times now? Anyway.
You know, because not all animals are created equal, didn't you know?
Yep.
No. All animals are created equal. Some are just more equal than others.
Yeah, right.
So this, I saw this on Twitter. You know how I am about entitled women. This kind of caught my eye.
Mhm.
You have this tweet
Sorry,
from
boys.
Rebecca Scanlon. Says, "I'm really mad. Lockdown extended another 4 weeks. This is a joke. We're being robbed of our lives. Time we'll never get back. As a 35-year-old single woman who would like to have a family one day, these months dictate whether or not that can happen for me." Mad is an understatement. This is a 35-year-old woman, a woman who's waited until she was 35 years old to consider a family. And now because she can't do it, she's blaming COVID for it. Where were you from 21 to 28? Why weren't you?
So, as somebody who kind of didn't do the dating scene either, I can kind of understand where she's coming from. But at the same time, though, I have to tell her there's a whole hell of a lot of apps online that can help her with that problem.
To use YouTube friendly terms, I suspect she was riding the rooster roundabout.
Very few of us will understand exactly what that means. I know
Also,
exactly what that means. Sorry, go ahead, Jen.
Also, looking at her profile, and I'm not meaning to judge, but I'd say a lot of it was also on her, because I hate to break it to you, ladies, it's not too different from men. But if you don't do anything with yourself to kind of advertise that you're actually looking, people aren't going to assume that.
Women have
So
a
if
certain
you
limited amount of time where they're attractive to men. A lot of women seem to think that.
and if you don't keep it up and you've gone past that age, you are no longer attractive.
Yeah.
You don't even have that.
It's not just being attractive to the opposite sex. It's also being fertile.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a hard time limit on
She wants
how
to have a
long
family
women
at
are fertile.
35. You're already in a position where I think, I can't quote exact numbers, but once you've gotten past 30, there's a high amount of eggs have already gone. You're like,
Oh yeah,
you're in a position where you only have a specific number where you're born with, and that's it. You don't make new ones. And
I mean, I saw comments basically saying, look, if you were serious about wanting a family, you wouldn't have waited till 35. And that was like,
well,
basically, yeah. If this was important to you, you would have done it while it was still like,
I think
young and fertile.
I think it's a certain amount of misinformation. Women don't understand what makes them attractive to men. They think what makes them attractive to themselves is what makes them attractive to men, and it's not. Having a degree
I would say
it's not going to make you attractive to a guy. I'm sorry, it's
no,
not. They don't really care.
I think you've got it a bit backwards. I think they think what makes men attractive to them is what makes them attractive to to other men. So like if they value this in a man, they think that men value that in a woman, and we don't.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Like if you watch all the like podcasts on this stuff, they're like women are saying, "But I make $100,000 a year." Like, so what? That's not my money. I don't get access to it. That is not a selling point to a man.
Jen,
Whereas,
Jen, you're a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think men find attractive in women? I'm not trying to turn this into a counseling session. I'm just curious as what your response would be.
It really depends on the guy, because men have really changed over the last 10 years. I would say if you're looking at a traditional guy, like the guys that I grew up with,
like me,
they're kind of looking for someone who resembles their mom.
Ooh, geez.
Not always, because not everybody
has
had
the same
good parents.
values as their mom, not someone who looks like her.
Not looks like, but yeah, that's what I was meaning, like values.
Okay. You scared me there. I don't want someone who looks like my mom. That's terrible.
Because the thing is like the first encounter with a woman that you have growing up is your mom. You are going to compare girls to her. That's not to say that it's always the case.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how you're supposed to be treated based off of how your mom treated you. You're treated that way based off of how you saw your siblings were taught to treat you. So when you see women who are just so madly aggressive the way that they are, that's kind of repulsive. That's not something that is really natural. Like women are nurturers. They're supposed like that's not to say that we're supposed to be, because it's just like men. We're not always exactly what we're supposed to be or what we
No.
were designed to be.
But
But
there is a general.
and
Yeah,
it's
there's trends.
and it's being beaten out of us, because if you're seen as neutral,
Nurturing.
it's seen as a weakness now. Like every time I
By
see
who?
by the people who are marketing what women are supposed to be.
Right. Right. But
And
not
that's
by men.
no. If it's men behind it, it's men who've been taught crap by feminists who are like,
Right.
"Oh, is that what you want? Okay, well, if we try this, maybe it'll make you happy and you'll stop being so mean to me." And that's, I think, what a lot of what's happening. Because I look at all the shows coming out with strong women, and I'm just like, I don't see a strong woman in sight anywhere, because they don't seem to know what a woman is.
All they do is take a man and make them female.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's not every woman is a bodybuilder. Most of us aren't.
No.
And that's not to throw shade at the ones who are, because I admire women who are that strong, because it's a different type of strong. It's not the same thing. It's dedication and discipline that makes them strong, because they keep doing it and they love it and they're doing what they want to do.
And there's physically strong, and then there's mentally strong, and it depends if you're on the women's gymnastic team how that is decided.
And they don't even portray that when they're portraying these women who are apparently bodybuilders.
What's
They don't
Simone's
even
last name?
Sorry, who?
Simone.
I think it was on. Let me just
Female
check.
gymnastics person.
Yeah,
who
Simone.
just-
I can't remember her last name.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Terry, do you remember her name?
For some reason,
Maybe
my
Chet.
brain is saying Simone Biles, but I don't know if that's right.
I think you're right. I think it is Biles.
Yeah.
Because she quit the team, and with her, I have some sympathies, but at the same time, I don't, because I don't doubt that she probably is telling the truth in the sense that she is maybe suffering from some mental stress. But at the same time, if she was suffering from that, she should have said something a lot sooner, because she's taking an opportunity away from other people who could have had it. And that's where I have a little grief with her. I sympathize with her, because I don't doubt that being in that position probably is a lot of pressure. And then the media tried to portray it like she was feeling that stress because of a doctor, which she didn't say at all. So I'm not going to put those words into her mouth unless she repeats them, because I don't believe she said that until further notice, and I have proof that she said that. I don't believe
Check
she
Your
said
Logic
that.
has confirmed Simone Biles.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to my mind, stress comes with the job. I mean, it's a stressful job. You don't get to take on a stressful job and then stop doing it because it's stressful. That was part of the deal when you accepted it.
Like that's where I hold her accountable. Like, it's not that I don't sympathize with her, because I do, but she took the opportunity from somebody else.
The point I made on Twitter was that they're at home right now. There's a girl sitting at home who could have been on the team. Who's not on the team because Simone was on the team, who'd be happy if she had a spot.
Oh, definitely.
And that's where I give her the real. I get she can't go back in time and like change her mind. You know, like, it's too late now to fix what's happened. But I hope with her, like, they don't keep giving her excuses. Like, show some sympathy, sure, okay, yeah, you know, it was too much, she crapped out. But don't give her slack for that when you know. And let's be real, they're gonna take sides with her because she's a black girl. But you know what you just said is the same thing. There's a black girl who's still sitting at home who could have been there.
Yeah.
Just my way of looking at it is, if you had a surgery planned and the surgeon said, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm too stressed to do surgery. Like, how would you feel about that? Like, no, surgeon is a stressful job. You took the job because of, like, knowing it was stressful. You don't get to say, yeah, but I'm stressed. And you're like, no.
I posted a snarky tweet back saying, I think the entire female gymnastics team should take time off and find themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't we just have all the basketball and swimming teams take off for a while too? I mean, it's only the Olympics. It only comes once every 4 years for them.
You know, it's not just them. It's almost every team that isn't fucking Russia or like one of the Asian countries who's doing this kind of crap.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you realize that you're killing the games for everybody else, right? You pulling this virtue for the rest of the world who doesn't give a shit about your virtue. They went for sports and to bring pride to their country. And all you do is you're just so ashamed of yourself. It's embarrassing. Like the Olympics was a time for people to come together. And sometimes I cheered for other teams just because they were really good. You know, I felt that way. Like I felt like it was a chance to see what everybody was doing, you know, who's doing what. Yeah, it's a shit show.
Yeah, Terry highlighted what Red Feather had to say, Terry.
Mhm.
So if things get too tough, just quit. Great message.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Assassin says, how many soldiers or Marines were allowed to say, hey, getting shot is a bit too much. I think I'll go home now.
Wouldn't that be convenient?
You know, I've been having a hard time with all these bullets whizzing by. I think I'm going to head home. Yeah, that'll work.
I'm not digging the 4 a.m. wake ups. There's putting a lot
That
of
bugle
putting a lot
just
of
causes
pressure
me
on me.
mental anguish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the military would be happy to. Oh, sure, go right ahead home, no problem. We'll just let these guys overrun our borders and shoot down our planes.
Yeah.
No big deal.
You know, not just that. Like I'm thinking of the MRAs that they have to eat. You know, because sometimes those are like questionable, and I'm like, you're in fucking Japan, lady.
You call this food? I quit.
Like,
yeah, I don't think so.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let's move on to new ways to catch COVID. I didn't actually research this; I just saw it, so I was like, we should probably talk about it. And it's off center. Fun fact: COVID can be passed not only through respiration but also through what you see on the screen. I can't say that because it's not true. This is obviously, Susan. I don't want to take too much away from Matt and Blonde, but Susan, please don't strike us for this. But what I'm displaying on the screen is on Twitter, and it hasn't been taken off Twitter, so I assume it's okay. And we fully support vaccinations here, but apparently, you're not allowed to handshake, high five, or have extended eye contact with anyone. Not on your table. So if you look at somebody at another table, that's it. It's all over. You're a super spreader.
Yeah, that's what I was told too. Now that I've had both my shots, I'm spreading the Delta everywhere. So I'm like, so.
Gotta watch that extended eye contact, folks. It's deadly.
Oh yeah. I think I'll start staring down delivery people just to scare them.
Show them this. Make a copy of it, print it out, and hand it to them. Then stare at them, see what happens. Make them pee themselves. There's so much misinformation out there. People got to get it right. What you really need to do is I need to find that video of the guy explaining everything about COVID and retweet it, because it answers all of these silly, stupid questions like this. So we'll see what happens, but I think transmitting COVID through staring at people probably isn't true. Just my take on it. Probably not true.
Probably not.
Assassin wants to know how I'm spreading coof through my eye contact. Well, I'm turning you to stone right now.
How does eye contact spread the coof trademark?
Well, I know Ben Shapiro has eye lasers, so maybe it's got something to do with that.
But he has those black glasses that he wears, and he has Snoop Dogg singing in the background. So
it's no, I learned that from Freedom Tunes. Ben Shapiro has eye lasers.
Eye lasers. Okay, that must be a meme, right? I'm talking about memes too. I'm talking about the black. The black sunglasses things meme.
The deal with it sort of meme glasses.
Yeah.
That no, on Freedom Tunes, I don't know how it came about, but Seamus just decided that Ben had eye lasers, and like he had a cartoon where he was like doing the owning of the university student who doesn't know anything,
Yeah.
and
Well,
then
that's easy enough to
at
do.
the end of the cartoon, Ben shoots eye lasers and destroys them.
He should go back to doing.
Lasers in my belly.
He should go back to doing. I guess I don't know if they would even allow him, or if the
Oh
pandemic would
God, no.
prevent him from going to colleges anymore. But he should go back to doing that because it made him famous. Made him.
Yeah, I mean he's still famous now.
Yeah, but I mean, that really was a big thing for him. It's too bad he's still not doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
the only thing he really does is the Sunday show. You guys have seen the Sunday show from him?
Well, I've heard that. Well, the thing is like half of his tour was spent on security details because a
Yeah.
lot of the colleges would overcharge him deliberately for it,
Yeah,
and then
that's
they
true.
would rile up their students deliberately. And I believe that 100% because the teachers were in amongst the students.
Yeah.
So, does that mean Ben stopped doing his daily show? He only does the Sunday one now.
I think he still does. Isn't it the Sunday show? Doesn't he still do the Sunday show?
I have no idea. I haven't watched him in a while, but like last time I was watching him, he did a show every day, and then
Well, yeah, he has a regular daily show, but the Sunday is they call it the Sunday sit down, where he has a specific
the
guest.
interviews,
And, yeah, and he just does interviews. And I think the last guy he had was Tyson,
Okay,
the astrologer, whatever that is.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson. He had him on. I think he was the last one. I'm not sure if he's had anybody on since, but yeah, I thought he did like every Sunday. Maybe he's not doing it as often.
No. The way you said it, I thought you meant he only did the Sunday show now, and he'd stopped doing his Ben Shapiro show.
No, he's still doing the Ben Shapiro show, but he's not doing colleges. He's doing the Sunday show instead. So that's his
I'm with you.
interview kind of thing going on that he's doing. But that really, I mean, that's how I found about Ben was, Ben
like
Shapiro, Rex SJW, blah, 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 blah.
60.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't dislike Ben, but he is a little bit cringe when he's losing. It's just one of those criticisms that I would throw his way. It's just like
doesn't lose very often.
He doesn't, but he's also a little bit of a sore loser. And it's one of those things where I get that. Like nobody really likes to lose at anything.
Yeah.
But when he presents himself in public, it's really easy to make fun of him for it.
Oh yeah. My only issue with Ben is like when he's talking about Judaism, he's obviously not talking like he acts as if he's still talking from a factual basis, but clearly like religion can't be fact-based because we don't have facts about whether God exists or the nature of him or her or it or whatever. So he comes across when he's talking about Judaism as if he's talking objective truth, and like, you can't.
Yeah, well, I mean, he never makes it part of his argument to cite religion. He always talks in a secular way. But I think we mentioned this last week that Lauren Chen and her group were doing that. They were using their religion.
No, but he has done videos saying like this is why God exists, and like he has done.
He believes his religion. There's no doubt that he is devout.
Yeah, but like when he's talking about this is why Judaism is true, that's when I kind of
pull back a little bit because it's a little bit too.
Yeah, no one's ever going to be perfect. I mean, no one's ever going to believe everything you believe. We're all different.
No. But if he had more of a delineation saying this is why I believe it rather than this is true. Maybe I'm just misremembering, but the way he's spoken about Judaism has put me off.
It's like when you're trying to let the guy know that he's coming across as Mr. Ham. It's a good idea to let him know he's coming across as Mr. Ham.
Yeah. But no, for the most part, I like Ben. I think he's actually kind of funny. He's funnier than he gets credit for.
Yeah, I like. That's what I followed him for. Was because I like sarcasm a lot.
Yeah.
I think the video that I saw was him talking to a girl, heavyset blonde girl, very young, and he was talking about the Boy Scouts. You heard the Boy Scout
Yep,
tweet,
yep.
right? Yeah.
That's the one. Why aren't you 60?
Yeah, why aren't you 60? And she just, why aren't you 60? But where is that written? In the word Boy Scout. It's
Yeah,
like, oh man,
that's probably the most famous one. I
it's
think
devastating.
that's the one I always see people quoting and referring back to.
See, and this is one of those moments where, yet again, the left didn't really get it. Like, if you wanted to have something like the Boy Scouts or something like the Girl Scouts, but was like a gender neutral version of it, why not make one of those?
Yeah, that's
Never
a
been
whole
done before.
that's a whole big thing when it comes to male and female in sports and all that kind of stuff. Because my perspective is way out of bounds. I think we should get rid of all sports that are segregated by sex. I think there should just be tennis, and there should just be track and field, and not some for women and some for boys. So that we can prove once and for all that you'll never see a woman in sports again.
Oh
If
yeah,
you do that, that's what you'll end up with. And we need to prove it because people don't seem to believe that that's true. And it is true. You'll
Well, I
have
mean,
guys
there's
and
also-
trans people, and that'll be it.
Well, there's also the whole thing of the 16-year-old, 15-year-old boys team beating the women's soccer team.
Yeah, the funny thing is that was supposed to be a friendly match. It started off being a friendly match. It was just an exhibition kind of thing. But then it got competitive because the boys were beating them. And then the girls started getting like pushing the boys and stuff like that, like fouling them. They got real competitive because they were losing and they didn't want to lose. So they got like nasty. They started yelling at them. Did you hear about the whole story behind that? There was a whole rundown about what actually happened in detail on, I forget it was on YouTube or where I saw it, but I definitely read it or heard of the whole rundown of exactly what happened that day. It was just an exhibition. Oh, we'll just play. But when they started losing, they lost their minds.
Yeah, I suppose it would be embarrassing if you're like professional soccer team losing to
You think if you're a
kids.
professional, you could say that though, right? If you're a professional,
Yeah.
say, well, yeah, but this was friendly. We're supposed to not
Yeah.
really be competed. It's supposed to be friendly. And you're supposed to be mature enough to be able to say, oh yeah, we lost. Well, we're pretty much supposed to lose. It's a friendly game.
But
And
I
we're not really
forget
trying.
I forget what show it was, but someone said John McEnroe said
Oh yeah.
that one of the Venus twins was the best female player, and he's like,
They're not
why did you say female? Because she's not the best player; she's the best female player.
Right. It's nothing against
then-
women. They're not
Yeah.
built the same way. They're physically, people don't get this. They're physically, the bone structure is not there. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's always been a joke for me. Like whenever they're like, "Oh, well, if you take away all the flesh, people just look the same. They're all skeletons."
No.
And I'm like, "No. If you're a bone specialist, they're still different."
I think it was Serena Williams
Yep.
was actually being interviewed and said, "No, I don't want to play against the man. I don't want to go up against Roger Federer. He would destroy me."
Well,
Like
they
I'm not saying it wouldn't be fun for like the odd game, just for the sport of it, but as a career move, no.
Have you ever watched mixed doubles tennis?
Yes.
No.
Yeah. Whenever the men are serving to the women, no chance. They just watch the ball go by. Because they can serve like 30 miles an hour faster.
Yeah.
How could, even the guys, how many aces do guys get during the match firing against other guys? Imagine going against, it's just.
To be honest, as far as sports go, the only thing that I could see as being like gender free would probably be like shooting guns.
Absolutely.
Because you don't
Absolutely.
need to be a gender for that. Those were designed with that in mind. That's what a gun was designed for.
There are certainly sports where it would be perfectly fine, and they're not even. I don't know if shooting is gendered in the Olympics or not. I don't know if there's men shooting, women shooting, but like stuff like, car racing.
Mhm.
There's no reason for that to be gendered, and I don't think it is.
Yeah.
So if
I mean,
car
in
racing is
anything
not
we-
gendered, why is tennis gendered?
Anything where you've got a machine compensating
Doing
for
all
the
the work.
natural differences. Yeah.
Right. And you're just controlling the machine, which does require stamina and effort. But I mean,
Yeah,
those guys come out of that race at the end of that race and they're just boatloads of sweat and they peed themselves and all kinds of stuff, So yeah, it requires stamina, but women have plenty of stamina. I think women generally have more stamina than guys do, and they have a higher pain tolerance too.
It's just
Because of Parler.
it's for stuff like that. Like I could see joining them to each other, because there's no reason why. And I think that some women would have fun with that, because it's nice to have something you can compete with the boys on.
Mm-hmm.
There's you don't always have that opportunity, and who cares if you're the best or not? It's just fun. I'm saying
all sports should be replaced with video games.
Red Feather says in chat, forensic science will tell you male and female bones are not the same, and they're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And I've made this point many times. People say, well, the argument against whether men can be women and women can be men. And I say, yeah, when it comes right down to it, we're not the same. And I always kind of push back. I said, well, if you want to be absolutely sure, don't talk to me about chromosomes or secondary sexual characteristics or any of that kind of stuff. Just x-ray the pelvis. And that ends the argument, because the male pelvis and the female pelvis are different. And I don't care if you're trans and if you get all your surgeries, there's no surgery to change your pelvis.
No.
So I don't want to hear, well, men or women, trans women or women. No, x-ray the pelvis. That'll tell you whether it's a woman or not.
One of my favorite lines from Ben Shapiro was when he was talking about Caitlyn Jenner, saying that every cell in his body is male with the ironic exception of some of his sperm.
Cells. What a brilliant line! And he always makes fun because I forget the name of the dude, whatever she is, who put her hand on Zoe THUR, right. She put her hand on his neck and said, if you're not careful, I'll send you home in an ambulance. And his response was, ambulances don't take you home. They take you to the hospital. Hilarious. But yeah, I mean, for as much as I see a lot of passing trans women like Blair White,
she's gorgeous.
I'm telling you right now, I'm a guy. Yeah. I'm a guy as more of a guy as any guy could be. I am super straight. I am # super straight. And I know that Blair is still packing, but Blair is hot. I don't care what you say. She's hot. There's no two ways about it. And in my mind, she's a she. But if she turns around and walks away from me, I know how a male hip works. And I know how a female hip works. And I can watch a trans person walk away from me. And I can say, that person's trans.
Like, I can even say with all honesty, I think she's more beautiful than me. There you go, Blair. I am a girl. I was born that way. And I still stand by, you are more beautiful than me. But at the end of the day, it's not wrong. What you just said is not wrong. If I were to stand next to her, people are going to obviously see that I am too soft in the way of a woman.
If you two are walking away, I can tell that quick which one's the woman and which one's not.
She's still more beautiful than me, though. I can still say that in all honesty. I'd be like, oh, you teach me your tricks. Teach me your tricks, lady.
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. I'll tell her that anyway, though.
To me, no matter how pretty she is, sorry, not going to happen.
No.
Hot trannies just prove that men are better at being women than women are.
Some of them really are.
Oh, that's a terrible thing to say. Very true, but terrible.
I used to tell my gay boss that all the time, because that he was a queen, like he was the queen of the city at the time. And I told him, like, if you ever really wanted to run a business, you would teach straight girls how to do their makeup properly, because we were right next to a high school at the time. And I had sympathy for those girls, because I remember going through that stage of trying to do up your face, and you really don't know what you're doing at all, and you're walking around kind of looking like you've got a raccoon face or you're a clown. And I was just like, dude, you have a market right there. You know how to do it properly. Please teach some of these girls how to at least do it somewhat right.
I've seen some videos on YouTube where the woman starting off is not really very attractive at all, but by the time she's done, she's smoking hot.
Yes,
I've seen you completely repainted an entire new face on top of your old face. You don't even look like the same person.
No, I've seen those videos.
Yeah, makeup is amazing in what it does. Now, on the other hand, if I were to go back in time and market myself, I'd market myself as being, look, I can do the same shit without rearranging my face with paint. I'm an asshole, though.
It reminds me of what was Chris Rock did a video. a stand-up video of him talking about who cheats more and all that kind of stuff. And
Oh
one,
yeah, yeah,
do you remember that? Was it Bigger and Blacker or something like? I can't
yeah.
remember
I don't know
exactly.
which one it was.
I can't remember when it was, but he was talking about how women lie and how men lie. He says,
Yes,
men lie all the time. Women tell the bigger lie. You know, a guy will
yes.
say, I'm over at Frank's house when I was actually over at David's house. A woman's lie will be, it's your
It's your
baby.
baby. Yeah.
Oh, but he says, you expect me to tell the truth. He says, everything about you is a lie. Your face don't look like that. You're not that thin. You're not that tall. He starts talking about
Yeah.
all the things that women do to make themselves more attractive, but it's all a lie. So
Yeah, that's where I pat myself on the back. Like, I might have hit the wall, but for some reason, me hitting the wall rearranged my face, and losing weight rearranged my face. So I kind of look like I'm in like my.
That woman who's 35 years old, she's attractive. Did you see her picture?
No, I
She's a
didn't
good-looking
see
woman.
it.
Yeah, she's a good-looking woman. There's a TED Talk that I saw that was I think Lauren Chen did, about where the woman on the stage was like obviously 50 to 80 pounds overweight, and her hair was drawn back in a tight, so her face looked very sharp, and she was not doing anything to make herself. She was all in black, trying to cover her weight and that kind of stuff. And that's one thing. But this girl that we were looking at, she's an attractive young woman. I mean, not young, 35, but not old either,
Yeah.
Which
So
tells me there's probably a character flaw. Not
Oh,
to
yeah.
say that she has flaws, but usually when it's not your looks, it's usually something else. It's something that Monkey pointed out. Sometimes it's just you're either mean or you're annoying. And I think a lot of people don't tell, especially girls growing up, they don't really teach you that. They just treat you badly. They don't really explain, okay, this is what you're doing that's pissing people off. So a girl can go through her whole life being an absolute twat and never be taught differently.
Well, I think the problem is that with the advent of social media, a woman can be a complete pain in the ass and still get validation from men. So she's got no incentive to work on herself, because she's still being told, "Oh, you're a queen. You're gorgeous. Oh, I love you.
You're perfect at every stage."
So if a woman is annoying, she's not going to, oh shit, I'm putting everyone off and nobody likes me. Everyone still likes her because they see her pretty photos on Instagram. It's like, oh yes, I will heap praise upon her.
Well, I feel we're being tough on women here. We probably should.
Hey, listen, I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, a couple of months ago, like, I don't want to ever be a thought, but like, I did think about it. Like, if I go down another 15 pounds to exercise, like not diet, like not food diet, but like exercise, I was gonna put pictures of myself on, be like, look, bitches, it's not that hard. You just gotta take care of yourself and do some maintenance.
How much information are you willing to put on the net? Are you going to put your picture on YouTube? I mean, you don't use your picture during broadcasts, right?
If I were to do it, I did think about doing something like an SDA a little bit, because well, I mean, that's kind of where I was in terms of what we do on our streams. But I have thought about doing something like Chaos does, or just doing a little stream with my picture in the corner and doing that. Like, my brother does have a camera. It's really shitty.
You used to have your face in your Twitter picture.
I've done that before too.
People know what you look like if they were following you on Twitter back when that was your picture. It's not like it's a secret.
No, it's not. Actually, I took that off of Twitter. I did it for a week because it was just, I was kind of, oh God, I was such a girl in that moment, because I was kind of like, you know what? I just want to be honest about who I am for a week. Just put myself out there and be brave for the first time in my life. And I was like, I'm going to regret this, but you know what? So what? And the first thing I noticed is, like, I got like 10 follows, and I'm like, you're just following me because of my face, aren't you? You don't know shit about me, because all of them, once they realized that I wasn't going to post anything else, they left. But I didn't want to make my channel about that, like, I'd rather people like me because of my personality or because of the things that I have to say. But I just wanted to be honest for a week. So, and I was like, someday because we've talked about this on different minions, or at least behind the stages, about doing a meet and greet.
Right.
You know, and I was like, well, if I ever do a meet and greet, it's not like people aren't going to know who I look like anyway, you know? So
Yeah.
there's that too.
But it's only going to be people who are minions who are going to know, and it's
Yeah.
not going to be all over the internet either.
No, it was just one of those things where like I said, if it wasn't about the fact that I don't want to sell myself that way, I probably would have done it already. Just because I don't have a problem with how I look, or I don't really give a shit if people like how I look. But I did want to point out that a lot of what girls do, you don't necessarily have to do that. Like, I didn't do makeup growing up. And I never did makeup growing up, unless it was a special occasion. Like, if my mom was going to the theater and I was her guest, I would put on a little bit of makeup just to be polite. But it wasn't to the extent that girls do nowadays. And I've always had this theory that it's not. I really don't think it's healthy. Both
It's not.
mentally and physically, I don't think it's healthy. I understand why they do it. I understand the need to express oneself. As an artist, I understand all that stuff. But growing up, I would look at men who never wore makeup, and then I'd look at women who always wore makeup, and I was just like, one looks like shit afterwards.
My girlfriend barely wears any makeup, very little.
She's good for it. I think she's good for it, because when she's older, she's still going to look her age, but she's going to look her age. There's nothing wrong with looking your age. There's something really weird about looking 30 to 40 years older than what you actually are, because your face is fucked up.
I think she just does some eyeliner and eyelashes, and I think that's
Mascara?
about it. Mascara,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's it.
A lot of
She
girls
does
have
the
gone to that.
foundation or blush or any of that crap.
Because you're not covering everything. It's just your eyes. But I didn't do that personally, just because I have eye problems. Like, I have prescription glasses, and I can wear contacts. But especially if I was wearing contacts, I wanted nothing to do with eye makeup, because there's so many things that could go wrong if it gets under the lens.
Oh, right.
I could never do contact lenses. Just the thought of anything going into my eye creeps me out. I can't even do eye drops. Like, if I go to the doctor, it takes forever to get the eye drops in, because I keep flinching when they try and do it.
It's the reason I don't wear them very often, is because it's a special occasion thing. Like, I've got them for like I said, if I go out to, say, a special dinner with my mom, I might do that extra stuff just because low key it does a lot for my looks. But I look just fine with my glasses too. They're just goggles. Like, I would say, if at the end of the day, if I had the money for it, I would probably just get the surgery.
Laser eye surgery.
Yeah.
See, it's tough for me because I'm not allowed to have laser eye surgery because I'm diabetic. I have diabetic neuropathy in my eyes, and I can't wear contacts because of that either.
Yeah.
And every month I go to the eye doctor, and he gives me needles and shots in the eyes. So I have no problems sticking my finger in my eye. It doesn't even like any more different than just touching my finger to anything. It doesn't matter to me. I have no sensitivity in my eye that bothers me about touching my own eye. It's no big deal. It's just I have to make sure my fingers are clean if I'm going to stick them in my eye. But after you start getting needles, believe me, your finger is nothing at that point.
Yeah,
but if I had the option for contacts, if I was allowed to, or to have surgery, I would do one or both of the others, whatever.
It actually took me a second to see the link between you being diabetic and not being allowed to wear contacts or get laser eye surgery. It's like, oh yeah, the nerve damage. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they won't let me allow me wear it because if the lens moves, I can't feel it move on the eye, so I could be doing damage and I would never know. I can't feel the front of my eyes. That's why I can touch them with my finger. I can't feel it. So they still work though. I can still see it, but I just can't feel anything. It's weird. It's a weird feeling because it feels like there should be something there. When you touch it, you can feel it on your finger, but you can't feel it on the eye. Only one of the two things can feel it. And even my hands are even damaged to the point where I can only feel like 50% of stuff there too. I'm regularly burning my hands in the microwave because I'll open something up that has steam, and the steam will hit my skin and give me secondary burns. And I'll be like, oh, look at that. I have a secondary burn on my hand. Never knew where it came from. It could have been from yesterday. I have no idea. So I have to be very careful.
Yeah, that would be nerve-wracking for me because I'm a naturally prone accident person. So you know what I mean. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, it's I've gotten used to a lot of stuff that you just have to be very careful what you do. You have to look at your hands when you're doing stuff. A lot of people will reach for something and grab it and see out of their peripheral vision kind of deal. But you see enough to be able to pick up the object, but you're not actually looking at what you're picking up, so you don't see the detail. So, you know, I could be reaching for something and think I'm reaching for the right thing, and I'm grabbing the wrong thing. So I have to look when I turn my head and look at something when I'm going to pick it up to make sure I don't do something stupid. Because I've cut myself on knives and stuff like that. I have a bandage on my left forefinger from reaching over and trying to grab a fork, and I grabbed a knife instead. Cut my hand.
So funny thing about contacts that you wouldn't know if you didn't wear them. So I keep referring back to my days of working at a deli, but I did. And one of the things that we oh yeah, oh god, it was great because I had free samples all the time. That's why I was a little tubby back in the day.
You're not making it any better.
But one of the tasks was to cut onions. So to make the task a little bit faster, you use the slicer to do it. If I was wearing glasses and I was slicing onions, there was no way I was going through that without having a face full of tears because the onions were just potent. If you're wearing contacts, you will not tear up. Not once was I wearing contacts did I ever tear up. I was like, okay, so this has something to do. Yeah, it has something to do with the tear ducts. I believe that firmly.
But your tear ducts are not covered by your.
I know. It stretches your eye out though, and I think that's what it does. Is it stretches it out so you have more room. I don't know what it does. Like I'm not sure.
Is it the impact of the molecules from the onions bouncing off the front of your eye that causes the irritation to make your eyes water?
I think so.
So if you cover your eyes with a contact, it can't bounce off the eye, so it doesn't irritate your eyes, so you don't water.
Yeah, I did. I never cried, not once.
Huh.
It was great. But it didn't make up for the discomfort that I felt. Like I would probably struggle in Australia with contacts, depending on where I was. And I'm saying that from somebody who's kind of in an environment that's kind of a little bit mixed. So we have a semi-desert. We also have mountains. So it's super dry where I am. So at certain times of the year, especially in the winter, like, yeah, they just freeze up and they fall out because it's too dry. There's no moisture here.
Wow.
So it was uncomfortable. If I, like I said, if I had the option, I would probably just go for the operation. Because I do think the contacts worked better, like in terms of vision, because they're closer to the eye. You don't have that distance problem.
Right.
And you do have the surround sound that you don't get with glasses, because you know, with glasses, like once you look past those frames, you're not seeing much.
Yeah.
If your eyes are bad enough, yeah.
So I found that, like, especially last year when I had to wear that mask all the time, I couldn't see. I would have been better off
clouding up.
Yeah, I would have been better off just taking off my glasses. And for me, that's actually a hazard. Like I will run into stuff if I do that.
That's not good.
No.
I can't drive without my glasses.
Yeah, I'm like that too. It's like,
I have
there's a
prescription
sign.
Sunglasses. That's how.
I can't drive with my glasses because I don't have a license.
Oh, okay. I mean, like, I have a couple of problems with my eyes, not just I have something called Addis disease. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but my pupil doesn't react quickly enough. So if I go outside in the sunlight, I'm pretty much blind. I can't see. So I have these very, very dark sunglasses, and I was like, well, I'm not bothered by the brightness, but they're not prescription. So I actually had to get prescription sunglasses to be able to drive, because I'm up in the mountains, so it gets pretty bright up here. So yeah, that's been the only issue. I like I said, I wish I can get contacts and make my life so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you for that one too. It's like when you walk out of your house and you deliberately have to look at the ground, not just at the ground, but specific points on the ground because it's darker.
Do you sneeze when you walk out in the sun?
No, I don't do that. But
Have you heard about
will.
That people are like, it causes me to sneeze. I sneeze like 5 or 6 times in a row.
Because yeah, I could see that. Yeah, because your eyes and your nose.
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know anybody else who does it, but my doctor told me, yeah, it happens. Some people are like that. I'm like, okay, not really that weird. Whatever.
It's weird for someone who plays as many video games as I do, but I have a high tolerance for not being able to see that well. Like, it took me about 10 years to replace my glasses. Like, the first pair I got was like 10, 15 years after that I thought I should change the lenses in these.
10 years?
At least 10, maybe closer to 15.
A significant difference between the old glasses and new glasses, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, this is what seeing is like.
I actually bought very large monitors. People get the wrong idea, like I have money or something like that I have really large monitors, but I need the big monitors, because if I had a little 27-inch monitor, I can't see it. It's too small. I have to have big monitor so I can make it ring nice and big so I can see it. So anyway, why don't we well, we're a little bit over time, aren't we?
Yeah,
We're
we're doing okay. Yeah, we're a little over.
We get to talking. I want to say thanks to chat for stopping by and chatting with us, because they're chat and that's what they do. Hey, Adam.
That's their job.
That's what you do. I guess I should probably play some music and close the show. Open with VLC. There we go. I have a tendency to run down the shows, but really what the big differences are is that I'm doing the Wednesday show along with Terry and Jenna, my co-host. Thursday is, I don't know, Terry, do you watch the Thursday show?
Thursday, is it?
Do you guys watch the Thursday show? I haven't watched the Thursday show yet. Has Johnny taken over the Thursday show?
He has. Yeah, he did his first.
Awesome.
I mean, he had some assistants. Like he's being trained with Sanguine, but he did have his first night because I got to join him.
I should listen to the show tomorrow night. I was busy last Thursday, so. And then of course Friday is Sanguine's night now, so everything else stays the same. I just wanted to run that down real quick. Jenna, Terry, thank you for coming out tonight and well done, good job. And thanks to chat, everybody. Have a great night. Say good night, guys.
Have a good night, guys. Take it easy. Take care.